Hey guys, welcome back to the Lou Perez podcast on the Lions of Liberty podcast network. And today I am joined by my guest. He is the global shit stirrer at the Shitshow creative, Mr. Justin Kramm.
Thank
All
you.
right, look at
Happy
that.
to be here. Appreciate the
Almost,
intro.
almost felt like a live audience was going to pop up.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Wouldn't that be wild? Like my bookcase just opens.
Exactly.
Yeah, Justin, tell me about shit show creative and being a global shit stirrer.
Yeah, so I was a creative director and copywriter for advertising agencies. I also did stand-up in San Francisco for many years. And comedy writing is my sweet spot, and especially like short films, branded content, that kind of thing. And then AI came about, I guess, a couple years ago, and I started using it every day just for fun and as an experiment. And I accidentally created an AI version of myself with my humor. And one day on Cinco de Mayo, about 7-8 months ago, on a Monday morning, I wrote this Onion style article called "Embracing the Chaos: Shit Show Creative Launches," and I took about 10 seconds to create an image of 3 smug founders in front of a Venice, California modernist ad agency. And I just slapped it on LinkedIn, and I go for a walk with my wife and my dog, and I come back and the thing has like 100 reactions. And this guy from Australia hits me up on direct message, and he's like, "Hey man, I think we should work together. I'm around the corner in Venice. We got to meet up." And I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" Because for the past 9 years, I had told LinkedIn I was in San Francisco still, but I didn't want to tell people I was in Florida because they think of us as some yokels, and they think it's cheap down here. It's not. There's like Lambos and Ferraris all over the place, and they think it's not a creative place. So between those things, I kept on the DL. But this accident caused me to come clean as a Florida man, and I just started making fun of myself. And people are like, "You have to make this real," and they're like, "You got to get merch." So I made merch. This is the happy stuff. One of them. They're like, "You need a website." So I made a website. Within like 2 or 3 days, I had a client, a Substack. I had my first employee was an Ethiopian guy who speaks German and likes Judd Apatow movies. My second employee was a Scottish woman living in Croatia with the Dominican last name because she lived there for a while. I was like this global hodgepodge of weirdos attracted on the same frequency to absurdist humor. So essentially, we started an ad agency we're an ad agency and also an AI comedy studio where we make short films. I just dropped my first album, Carl the Manatee, that's on Spotify. So our Mickey Mouse is Carl the Manatee. He's the mascot of our studio. And one of our clients is livingseawall.org, which is building a seawall that's modeled after mangrove trees, where it'll filter 1 million gallons of water every day because of these oysters that are going to be attached. So rather than doing serious environmental content, I keep it light and fun and playful. I want it to be a pop culture landmark, not just like something green nerds are into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, if you weren't outed as a Florida man before, I mean, the fact that, your mascot is a manatee, I mean, that says it all right there. I mean, yeah, I bet there would be like, sort of an online sleuth to be like, I don't know, man, this guy doesn't manatee. I don't believe it's San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, manatees are a success story because when I was a kid, they were almost extinct.
Yeah,
And they've rebounded thanks to boaters, surfers, everybody working together. And in Florida, we're like a good sign of the environment. You remember that too?
Yeah, when I was in middle school, I think I was in 7th grade, in our science class, we adopted a manatee.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and I don't know what that means. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, "Man, it's been a while." Like, I don't have any information about this manatee. I don't know if
Yeah.
he's still alive. I don't know what he's been up to. Maybe, does he have a
Wow.
family and all that?
Retirement, probably.
I know, and he's in the perfect place too, Florida right there. You get born and retire in the place in Florida.
You got to hear my song after the podcast. I wrote a song, "Man, I Love Manatees." So it's about men who are manatee super fans and live that lifestyle, happily wearing them.
Is it kind of like the brony? What's it? The bronies, the guys from
Yeah,
in the My
it
Little
is.
Pony.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but the cool thing about the bronies was that it was like a non-ironic love of it was supposed to be non-ironic,
Right, right.
like post-irony. People are sick of that. This is definitely this isn't ironic either. I mean, yeah, they do like manatees, these sea potatoes, sea cows, floating potatoes of the sea. Like I've written manatee meditations, to get you to embrace the slow,
Right.
peaceful vibe of a manatee. I mean, they don't rush, right? But
No.
they've lasted a couple 100 million years. They're doing something right.
Yeah. I wanna, I guess go back, to the beginning with, where you start in advertising, 'cause I remember when, there were a few, like, ad companies. I think one of them was called Gray Publishing or something, or the
Yeah,
Gray Agency,
yeah.
where when I was, like, doing improv and sketch comedy in New York, they would often bring in improvisers for, like, a day or 2, and we get, like, a day rate to basically come up with all this stuff, and we would get paid, maybe, like, a couple $100 for the day. And looking back, it's like, "Oh, they were very smart to do that." To
They
basically.
were. It's funny you mentioned that because I do that now. I call it a shitstorm.
Mhm.
So instead of a brainstorm, we have 5 people on a call, and we crack the brief. Like, we quickly well, we have a strategy, so it's controlled chaos, but I have musicians. I got an Emmy award-winning TV writer, a rapper. It's a cluster of different talented folks, and we roast the brief. We roast the brand too, because that's important, because you got to fool around and joke before you can come up with anything, even anything serious. And that being said, we're coming up with fun social content. We're coming up with songs, videos. So in a very short amount of time, we'll come up with a month's worth of material for them, potentially longer. It's actually too much. I got to like tone down how much we offer with this because it's too good of a deal. But um, yeah, I think great ideas happen fast, and now you can produce them fast. And I want to run circles around these big agencies that are all now owned by the same company.
Well, yeah, I do wonder, like, what kind of, like, a brain drain does that produce when you have, like, such big agencies, but now you can have a guy like, like yourself who can go and, formulate something really quickly and bring people together and, basically, like, undercut them, because, I mean, even if you're looking at, like, kind of the budgets that people have for, like, commercials and stuff like that,
Right.
where you can go and make, for lack of a better word, like, viral content on your own and
Yes.
sell a and now with the branding, when it comes to, like, hooking up with influencers and stuff like that, I mean, you find somebody who has, like, 1,000,000 followers on Instagram, you could sell more product through them than you can, basically on TV sometimes, right?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because the most valuable thing for me right now is writers with followers, because
But
I can make the content myself, the writing, right? But the value is them and their followers, or you and your podcast, or somebody else with a newsletter, and we can promote each other, and we can rise together, right? Um, and that's what I've seen with musicians. And I have a friend who's like a 47-year-old dad and a DJ, and all they want to know is how many followers he has on Instagram.
right.
Yeah, that's everybody right now. So here's the other thing, and Hunter S. Thompson.
Sure. Yeah.
So the whole gonzo journalism, I call it gonzo advertising, but I just signed up an Ecuadorian artist. Other people call them clients. I call them creative soulmates, because our comedy and our point of view draws us together almost magically. So I needed to experience his art firsthand. So I flew to Ecuador last Sunday, was there for 4 days, and took part in a artistic, transformational, spiritual ceremony.
Did you do was it ayahuasca? Was it mescaline?
Shrooms.
Shrooms.
Yes, but according to him, the shrooms needs to work at its optimal. It has to be activated with gold. So the
Was
day
gold.
the first day I got there, I drank gold tea. That's part of
Mm.
the preparation. It's activated. In other words, I would say, for lack of a better word, blesses it. And the next day, you will have, every time you have the mushrooms, you have it with gold. And we're going to be, that being said, I was clear headed. I was in my mind. I never got sick. I never got paranoid or anything. It was a beautiful experience. And one of the women who was there has done over 100 ayahuasca things. And she was suggesting I don't do that, which is funny because she'd done it 100 times. But I guess there's a time and a place for everything. And she said that the shrooms take you to happy mom, and ayahuasca is when you meet angry mom.
Yeah, yeah, I've been, scared of psychedelics in that, yeah, not knowing what I would be confronting, you know?
Mm,
Yeah, because it's sort of like I have, I think it was like Notes from the Underground, by Dostoevsky, where I forget which, I don't know if it's the narrator or one of the characters in there, talks about, there are stories that you'll tell anybody, and then
mhm,
there are stories that you'll tell your friends, and then
mhm.
there are stories you'll tell yourself, and then there are stories you don't even wanna tell yourself.
Wow.
And then, so the idea of I've heard, quite a few people have those very powerful psychedelic trips where it opens up things about themselves that,
Oh,
they
shit.
don't wanna know. But the shrooms sound good. Now, as far as, the artist goes, is this part of his artistry? Is he, giving shrooms to people while they, uh
Well, people can experience the art on different levels. It's almost like, you can buy the Van Gogh magnet, or you can go visit the Van Gogh museum, or maybe you can, um, take a class where you try to immerse yourself in his process. I would say it's similar, like, not everybody's ready for that level of higher frequency. So there's no g in his mind, there's not good or bad, there's low frequency and high frequency. And a low frequency person, and that's when they get sick
Mm,
because 'cause they're not ready. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world, it happens a lot, but that being said, yeah, you could just buy his paintings, like, pre-painted, but his sweet spot and what he likes to do both best is that you go meet it's not mandatory you do any of this stuff, but the best thing he does is paint auras. So he sees your energy, and then he paints it with some activated gold too. I'm not talking about, like, some, like, tacky gold. Yeah, I'm talking about, like, really tasteful, beautiful use of it. And so the ceremony I was at, we had a painting that he made before, and it included the auras of all 11 people who were there. And then at the end, he gave it to me, like, as a surprise.
mm.
And I took this thing back, and it's very, very valuable, but in my mind, it's priceless because of what it rep what it, represents. So, we're gonna start these retreats in Dominican Republic and Ecuador where people will be able to experience this for a 3-day weekend.
I was just gonna say, that that kind of adventure, that immersive, adventure seems like something that would be really attractive to a lot of people. Because even what you just described, you're a part of the artwork, as
Oh,
opposed to just, buying. In a, earlier episode, I had an artist, Kendrick Tunn, his name is, and, he's a, kind of a classical, oil painter, and, he builds relationships with the models that he has, so, like, he'll be
mm,
painting, a model for, months at a time. Uh, so it's sort of like when you're, if you're one of the lucky people who get to buy, one of his paintings and you hang it up, you're not only just hanging up this image, you're hanging up a relationship that was formed there. Maybe, a relationship you're, maybe privy to a certain degree, but there's a lot more
sure.
happening in it, So, oh,
And
that sounds cool.
the cool thing about this for a long time, I didn't understand abstract art, and then now I get it because my wife's an artist, and she was saying, when it's a literal figure, you eventually get tired of it, or you don't really see it from different ways, and we have, like, literal paint around here, but the abstract stuff, it changes every day, or the lighting, it looks like it's moving. I mean, when you're not on mushrooms, sometimes it looks like it's moving. Um, as you experience different things or get older, through different things, the art itself, you see it from a new light. It's almost like a Rorschach.
Yeah. Well, what's the, artist's name?
Eddie Mosler, Mosler.
MLS mostly. That's cool. Yeah, talking about, like, getting, as you get older too, experiencing things. I have a pain in my back that came about the other day because we had a blackout at our house, and I just bent down to get some ice from the freezer, and then my whole lower back just fucked up on me.
Oh,
And
wow.
and, you know, not where it's crippling, but it's a reminder of, "Lou, you are very mortal right now.
Yes.
You're
I
very
know.
mortal,
Oh my
and
god.
the most basic movement is gonna make me, you know, is gonna mess my back up." It's like, "What the fuck?"
Listen to this. My family was out of town, and it was just me and my dog staying. It was July 4th. I had a bunch of beers, and then it's the middle of the night, I go to the bathroom, and there's a cockroach. So I tried to kill it with, like, the toilet brush, and I felt like I was a matador fighting a bull because it was
Yeah.
coming at me at these weird angles. And the sad thing is the cockroach was old and sick, so I can't even say it was, like, darting around. And I just went at some weird angle and landed, like, on somehow both shoulders, and I think I tore my rotator cuff, and then I was about to go to I told my kids when they got back, I told them the whole story, and, of course, one of them thought it was hilarious, and the other was worried for me. And before I go to the doctor, my son says, "Dad, how are you gonna explain this to the doctor?"
I mean, what a level-headed thing to say. Yeah, to your, it's your are your kids older? Are they,
10 and 12, 2
10 and
boys,
12?
soccer players. They're
There we go.
jocks, not like their
I got a
dad.
5 and a 4-year-old.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Close together.
What's it like, you know, what's it like when they go away and you're in the house by yourself? Because I know for me, um, there's a point where I'm like, "Cool, I like that it's quiet," but then there's a point where, "Okay, I've had enough of this. I need them back here," right?
Yeah. The dog helped a lot, and
Oh, I imagine that.
we had just recently got the dog, and it helped big time. In fact, I let him sleep in the bed, and, he never was allowed in the bed, so me and him bonded, but, yeah, they were gone 3 weeks, so
Oh,
that's
3
like
weeks.
that's the
Wow.
longest I've been without them, and, yeah, it got really hard, but I had my own weird lifestyle. I don't know if you've seen Hall Pass?
No. No,
I didn't get into any trouble, but
right.
I was definitely like 23-year-old college student on Fort Lauderdale Beach again, meeting all these random people, freestyle rapping at this bar in the middle of the night, hanging out with tourists from Columbus. I was inviting like I was trying to act like the ambassador of Fort Lauderdale Beach because I've lived here since I was 4,
Mm.
and so many of these people are new here. Even if they live here, they think 5 years is a long time living here, you know what I mean? So I was just trying to give a kind, warm welcome. My dad's in hotels, so I have this hospitality gene, you know?
Oh, man. That's wild. Yeah, has there been, like, a big influx of newcomers
Yeah.
to Florida? Yeah.
I think, at least in Fort Lauderdale, a good kind, like creative. There's comedy now for the first time I've seen. Um, there, what's his face? Ramirez from Saturday Night Live, Cuban guy from Miami. He kind of shined a light on the Miami scene. All you need is one person to make it, and it really helps. So Miami's gonna have a growing scene. But yeah, Wall Street is down here. They call it Wall Street South. There's a lot of tech, a lot of AI. And then Orlando's crazy underrated for technology because they're making all this stuff for the studios and the theme parks. And we're talking about virtual reality and holograms and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah. I really like just the big shakeup that's happened over the years where it's sort of like New York and LA aren't the only games in town, you know? Uh,
Yeah,
I
totally. Yeah, 100%, definitely.
yeah, I like the prospect of, you know, people can kinda, you know, go back home and build something there and, bring other people, attract other people there. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
by where I am in New Jersey, uh, there's a really great restaurant, and, the guys, you know, basically came back home to Jersey, like, they were working at, like, a Jean Georges restaurant, and they came to
Mm,
Jersey and kinda got like, this old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have, like, a high-end, high quality, high-end farm to table,
mm.
French, what's it? French infused? I don't know what you would call it. But it's great. It's like, wow, you guys have probably the best restaurant around. And it's like, it's great. I don't have to go into the city to experience something really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to enrich the place you're from is more fulfilling, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
the ultimate is Dave Chappelle in that small town in Ohio where he's
Ohio.
got his yeah. If you build it, they will come. I mean, I quote that from Field of Dreams all the time, but that he built it and they came.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine who's, living in Ohio, and he's, run into Dave Chappelle a number of times, and every time he tells me, but he never goes over and says hi, and
Mm.
I'm like, "Well, it's the perfect place to go say hi because that's isn't that what you people do in Ohio? Aren't you really
I
nice
know.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah, you're right.
and
You now
friendly?"
you're gonna get shy, you gotta show that Midwest charm.
Yeah, it's not like you saw Chappelle at, like, a nightclub, in New York, and that would be a little weird, like, going up to him, but, hey, if you see him in, like, a
I
nice
had his
little coffee
barber
shop,
in San Francisco, he used to get his hair cut when he was in town across from the Punchline and, across the street, so I went there, and this guy tells me he's Dave Chappelle's barber, and then everybody I know that's met him say he's, like, really quiet.
Mm.
I guess he saves it for the stage, and that they said he would skateboard all around the neighborhood for, like, hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, stones, but, everybody has their process for their pre-show.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember, when he went away and he came back and he was jacked, like, his arms were
Yeah.
just huge.
Oh my god, you're right, and
You feel
he wasn't doing it for a movie like a lot of people.
No, I think he just got into, like, curls. He was doing, like,
What?
preacher curls or something like that. Like, I've never seen his legs. I don't know what he works out. Uh I haven't got a good look at his chest, but yeah, man, his arms were were jacked for sure.
Yeah, I remember somebody said, I think was it he told some young comic, "You don't have to be funny, you just have to be interesting." Like, don't worry about being funny. Be
Mm,
interesting first. In other words, be okay with the I mean, he's very okay with he does 3.5 hour shows, like, he's okay with silence. Sometimes when people are quiet means because they're interested.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've had instances where, uh, the biggest, like, mistake I've made is, like, going on, like, a podcast or, like, a radio show or something and, trying to force a joke, you
Yeah.
know?
Mm.
And, oh my god, there are times, like, thank God I don't have the strength to listen back, but it's like, no, sometimes it's like the joke will come, your quip will come, but, like, listening and being, like, actually in the moment and stuff and is more important. Yeah.
I've noticed, Mark Norman, do you know him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you notice, the thing about a pun is if it's live and off the cuff, people like it usually.
Oh, yeah.
The the only puns they don't like is when it's pre-planned, and he does it off the cuff, like, immediately, so good, which is great because it's funny, but to your point, it shows that he's listening and engaged.
Yeah, and there's some I think Mark has the type of brain that just turns things around. Like,
Yeah.
his command of language is just so good. I had a friend of mine, another friend of mine, that was like that, where it was just, pun central, you
Yeah.
know? But what's good though, but, like, the thing about Mark Norman is it's not all puns, like,
Oh, of course.
he's also extremely funny. Like, there are some people where all they got are puns, and after a while, it's like, you wanna kick them out of the writer's room if,
Yes, and
if you're doing the shit stirring thing.
he usually does puns on, like, panels or podcasts.
Right.
He doesn't do them so much on stage unless it's maybe improv with crowd work. But I went to see him down here in Dania, near Fort Lauderdale. He did, like, 45 minutes of he's like, "Tell me what you wanna joke about," like, anything. Yeah. So I told him, like, gas prices. Uh, but it could be anything. He'll make up a joke, even if he has them in advance to have, like, enough jokes to satisfy any random thing people would yell out.
Yeah, yeah. With, so, you have this, one of your artists, in Ecuador, uh, what are some other, artists that
Yeah.
you're working with or brands or
So this didn't happen on purpose, but there's other artists that have been attracted to the shit show, and one of them is the George Romero Foundation, the zombie director.
Oh god, that's awesome.
So his foundation, he passed away a few years ago, but his widow Suzanne is in charge of his foundation. They have the only university they only have the only studied university program dedicated to scary movies. It's at the University of Pittsburgh. They have a little museum. They they help they help rescue his lost films and put on showings. And the whole point is to introduce a new generation around the world to his work. I mean, it doesn't take long. You'll see with your kids before famous people you thought are legends are like forgotten and they'll just be into YouTube creators. But anyway, they my job is to popularize it. And I have a specific cool assignment. It's called Garchi. There's a zombie puppet that a fan made while I was living. And it has this iconic black glasses. It looks just like him, except it's a zombie puppet. And it feeds by eating other plush animals. So my job is to make this guy famous and to create a TV show, like a maybe online series. So we're going to come out with that in the next couple months, and it's going to be like a talk show format. That'll be fun and entertaining, but you also learn a lot about film history. Um, Mystery Science 3000 style. So.
hmm Yeah, if anybody out there, if you haven't seen the original Night of the Living Dead, please see it because it still holds up. It's still an excellent film. My favorite is his Dawn of the Dead. Um,
Mhm.
they, I didn't like the remake
Mhm.
because I don't believe in fast zombies. I think zombies
Yeah,
need to be slow.
exactly.
And this is my not like it's my theory, but I'm sure other people have talked about this. But one of the scary thing about The Walking Dead, a zombie, and them being slow is that even if you kill one, they keep coming and coming and coming. It's slow,
Mm.
where I feel like with all the fast zombie movies, for one, they move way too fast. So it's to a point where it's like, look, there's no way you're going to have any survivors because you're
Mhm.
not you're not shooting bullets, fast enough or arrows or whatnot. But yeah, what he created, man, basically single handedly, with the zombie genre, is incredible.
I was talking about Tarantino. I was like, "Yeah, he was the influential on Tarantino," and she's like, "You think?" But Robert Rodriguez too. Um, every zombie movie is either an homage to him, a ripoff to him, or a parody.
hmm
Like he created the word zombie was around, but it meant something different. The idea of them being slow, eating brains, being contagious, mumbling. So this puppet can't talk, which is a big challenge, but that's what the fun thing in creativity sometimes is having a limitation, a difficult one. So we have to figure out how to do a talk show with the mumbling zombie.
Yeah, yeah. I think even in the first Night of the Living Dead, I don't even think the word zombie came up. I don't know if he
Nah,
called them what they called them ghouls, maybe or
is that
I
like
don't.
how they don't say mafia in The Godfather, right? It reminds me of that.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because I think that was one of the compromises they had to make because the Italian community was boycotting it.
Hmm. mm,
They just call it the family or other things like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. The Cosa Nostra, right? Our thing.
Mhm.
There was another one. Is it? Let's see. There's. I think Day of the Dead. Does Day of the Dead take place in Florida?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, Day of
I
the
need to
Dead.
rewatch them all.
Yeah, I think they were in a kind of like a nuclear bunker or something like that. Um, but
You know what
yeah,
took
that's
place here? It's Caddyshack, Fort
oh,
Lauderdale.
really?
Caddyshack, yeah,
No,
it's near I think somebody should give a tour. I'm like then somebody's like, "You gotta be that person." I'm like, "I can't believe a comedian doesn't give a Caddyshack tour, but they're
I had
still
no
here."
idea that it was down there.
Yes, and Revenge of the Nerds too, Nerds in Paradise.
I know that for sure. Yeah, Louis Skolnick and the Tri-Lambs, going down
Oh,
there.
that's my favorite sequel of all time, forget about Godfather 2.
Um, with, yeah, with George Romero and stuff, do they do, like, film festivals and stuff like that? Because I remember
Yeah,
I some years back, I watched, the Night of the Living Dead, I think it was at the Metrograph Theater in New York, and I believe Romero's, daughter was there to do, like, a Q&A
yeah,
Q&A afterwards.
she lives in Brooklyn.
Okay, that makes sense then.
She's a director, I think, too. But, they do festivals in LA, Pittsburgh, and, I want them to do one overseas too, because part of his appeal is the global nature of it. But,
Yeah.
um, Patton Oswalt, do you know him? The
Oh, sure.
comedian, actor? So he's one
Mhm.
of my favorite. He's written a few books, and he wrote Zombie Spaceship Wasteland, which is I love that book, but yeah.
I have it. I read it, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a spaceship. I think a lot of comedians are, but, like, I wasn't the Wastelander zombie type. It's like 3 archetypes for high school students, and I was more like the positive, I guess, optimist
Mhm.
who looked to art to get away from the crazy place, not to, like, stay here and be I'm above it. But anyway, he's on the board of the Romero Foundation, so that's pretty cool too, because he's a zombie fanatic. He wrote that book, Silver Screen Fiend, about his addiction to film, and he would go to these, all the 24-hour film screenings of zombie movies, things like this, and, he's a big part of the board, and it's helpful because it draws attention and donations to it,
Mhm.
and we're gonna come out with this TV show so then we can share that it's IP, we can they don't have much money, they're a nonprofit, but we can share the proceeds that are earned. I'm going to Sundance in the end of January to go to brand storytellers because I wanna meet brands to see if somebody can underwrite it.
Nice, nice. There's also the Italian movie Zombie and Zombie 2.
Oh, really? I need to check that out.
Yeah, they're, yeah, was it Zombie or Zombie 2? I think it was Zombie 2. That I ended up seeing that at the Metrograph too. Man, now I'm looking back, I'm like, "Man, where I've seen a
Wow.
I've seen a lot of movies, and, they're all coming up now." I think maybe I am having, like, a trip. Maybe I'm tripping right now, Justin. You just gave me something
Ah,
through the computer.
I think
Uh,
it is possible to trip sober.
yeah.
I've definitely done that
I've
with
had
the
way
right
too much.
music.
Yeah, yeah. Um, with, so you said, you were doing a comedy in San Francisco a while back too?
Yeah, the Purple Onion. You
Yeah,
know
what
that
was
place?
it sounds familiar, but I haven't spent a lot of time in San Francisco.
It's, yeah, they had a stand-up it was really cool setup because you would do the stand-up comedy college, San Francisco Comedy College, and you would take all these classes, and then Thursday, you'd go up open mic. Um, but it was cool because it was only for the students, so you'd get stage time. And then I just did it over and over again, and then, eventually I had 10 minutes.
Nice.
But of course, it would be mortifying now, but it's all part of the process, right? And there's all the craft of the writing and other things I would perform differently, but the basics of what I'm talking about is sort of what I'm doing now, like embracing the soccer dad persona in, self-deprecating Family Guy humor that's not I don't mind dirty jokes, it's just they didn't buy it from me, you know?
Mm,
One guy told so one co we would have these guest teachers come in, this guy was from Married with Children or something, he was the neighbor on there, Rich Scheidner,
okay.
and he made a documentary about it, I Am Comic, you should check it out. But anyway, he said that you can't when you're up there within 5 or 10 seconds, people judge who you are. The first and you have to make the material consistently pay off or subvert it, right? And so I came up and he's like, "You're the likable family guy, you can't do that stuff." And I was okay with it. I wasn't like I didn't realize that comedy is like curating music. And he was like, "You can't tell a sex joke and then talk about toothpaste right after it."
It's true.
Because he said you got that part of the brain going. And I've noticed that's why with openers, you gotta be careful because the opener will have sex joke, and then the main guy is like Jim Gaffigan. He's talking about Pop Tarts. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, well, even when you're putting together your act as well, the same way, like, when it comes to, like, heightening jokes and whatnot. Yeah, if you have, like if you start off blue, it's really tough to segue into, like, life as a dad, unless you're a dirtbag dad, in which
Yeah.
case, it could all come together.
I was doing jokes like comparing my second kid to like a new upgrade of the iPhone. He had new features this first son didn't have, which I thought was an interesting premise.
Yeah. Well, I guess one day the kids might know, right? That they might be like, "What were you talking about, Dad?"
Don't
Mhm.
find me on YouTube.
Yeah. That is what I do wonder about that. So my guys, like I said, they're 5 and 4, so they're only learning to read now, but there's a ton of material that I have out there that, when they unlock the code of reading English,
Yeah.
it's, gonna be pretty open to them, especially when they get older, and
Sure.
I wonder what they'll think about their dad who's, often very dirty. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why all these A-list actors, some like even Eddie Murphy, that's why Eddie Murphy probably did these kids movies, right? So his kids can watch them. That's what a lot of them just say. That's why they do voiceover for these Shrek and things like this.
Yeah. Did you watch the, Eddie Murphy doc?
No, but everybody says it's awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good, and it also puts into perspective just, how many different, phases of his career there've been, you know?
Mm.
So, like, I mean, he started doing, like, kid stuff over 20 years ago,
Yeah, you're
right?
right.
Which is just insane if if you're looking to, to date this guy on the, timeline of comedy.
Yes.
Uh, and I think he was just so young when he broke, like, he was, like, what, 17, 19 years old when he was, like, on SNL?
I heard him in an interview where he said he would rather be a musician than a comedian.
Yeah, it's too bad that's the one thing he kinda sucks at,
Ha!
right?
You're right, you're right. Well, what's funny an underrated part about music is patter. Like, my guitar teacher talked to me about patter, like, the shit you say between the songs.
Yep.
That's so important. And you know who's awesome at it is Paul McCartney. I thought it would be I always thought he was kinda corny and cheesy and needed other people to balance him, and then I saw him at Candlestick Park right before they knocked it down, because the Beatles played there in, like, 6 their last con or one of their last concerts in, like, '67 or something, and this was, like, I don't know, 45 years later, I don't know the math, but he was there, and he was so funny. He was telling stories about him and Jimi Hendrix and him and John Lennon, but they were, like, funny. They were almost comedy bits, and
Yeah.
the Beatles, when you see them at press conferences, they were like a four-person comedy team. It was hilarious.
Yeah, and they made all those movies too. People forget, like,
Yeah, and
Hard
they were
Day's
good,
Night and all this.
some
Yeah,
of them. Oh my
yeah.
god.
Well, I listened to a little bit of his audiobook. He narrates it, and he tells stories behind, some of the songs. And yeah, I mean, they're great. The
It's funny, I do that so I've started doing that with my AI songs because the story matters, the story behind the song. So I wrote my cousin so I write a lot I've been writing country music songs for, like, 25 years, but now I can finally make it with AI. Like, I always had the premise and the hook and the lyrics. So, I was at my cousin's wedding in Virginia, and he's, like, a really funny cousin of mine. We've been close forever. And before he reads his vows, he says to his wife, "I know you hoped I'd behave, but you know that's not my style." And then he turns to the audience and gives this sly grin, and everybody laughs, and I'm like, "That's it, I got my next song."
that's a song right there. Yeah,
I mean, looking for a bit is like looking for a song. You're just noticing these little human truths. A lot of times people laugh or remember it or don't remember it, but I remember it. It comes naturally, but I've always remembered things. And some people say you should forget that. And, sometimes it's bad things like scoring on the wrong basket at St. Mark's in 7th grade. But I by turning it into a joke or a bit or a story, I've realized you're processing it. You own your story because you control how it's told. And there's
right on.
always a lesson, you know what I mean?
Yeah. When it comes to making songs with AI, do you like, have like what would they call like a scratch track where like you kind of sing into it and then the AI is able to produce a melody from that? Or how do you build
Oh,
you
I
know,
do like I'll find a reference. Well, you can't use an artist name or band, which is good because you're not ripping off an artist, but it's also good because I think it helps you create something new, right? because you're not literally ripping anybody off. But I choose a reference of a certain artist or genre I know, but then I
Mm.
fool around. Sometimes I'll make 20 versions of a song before I pick the one I like the most. So I'm not there yet where I don't sing. I don't sing and then build the melody to like match my voice. I just create a different voice, sometimes a woman. But that being said, my goal is to have a real artist sing it. That's the unsaid thing about AI is that it doesn't have to stay AI. Like this is a demo. That's what you would mail the Nashville producer. No, that doesn't mean Chris Stapleton can't sing "Man, I Love Manatees." I mean, it would have been a good Jimmy Buffett song, rest in peace.
I with Stapleton, I mean, I would love to see a manatee just swimming in a pool of whiskey and just,
Yes.
and
Oh my
just
god.
and just lamenting,
And
every
then
just
come
like,
out with
look.
the Manatee whiskey. It's a good
Yeah.
idea, and to give 10% to the ocean.
Also, if a manatee was writing a country song, I can see, one night he was so drunk on whiskey, he fell in love with a boat, and
Yeah.
and then when he sobered up, he found out this is a boat, it's never gonna work
And
out.
maybe he got snipped by it, by the
Yeah, she's gonna
propeller.
run me over, she's
Yes.
gonna cut me.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. Yeah, so I'm creating a Carl the Manatee TV show, totally separate story, but I launched the Carl the Manatee YouTube channel. It's family friendly, so your kids can check it out on YouTube.
No, right.
Um, and I also launched an album, Songs from the Seawall, on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on iTunes, just yesterday, so
Nice, and that's associated with an organization too?
Living Seawall, yeah.
Living Seawall. Yeah, what is so Living Seawall, that's, all the oysters you were talking about?
Yeah, so the sea God's the greatest designer, Da Vinci knew this. You just rip off God and you're gonna do a pretty good job. So the mangrove tree and the shape of it somehow attracts oysters to attach to it. And an oyster filters 50 gallons of water every day, each one. This is the length of 3 football fields. It's a church right down the street from my house I've gone to since I was 10. 3 football fields, so there's gonna be 1,000,000 of these oysters. And then it's not just a seawall, you gotta actually go out on a deck. It'll be like a tourist attraction too. You go out on this deck and you look back at it and you'll see it teeming with fish and maybe manatee. Or the cool thing too is the small fish can hide from the larger fish, but that a flat wall doesn't provide that benefit. So these, by the way, these seawalls are made in Miami, 3D printed out of concrete, and Mark Cuban invests 20% of it's owned by Mark Cuban, the billionaire.
Wow.
So this will essentially be the home, the model home, if you will. It'll be like the model seawall that'll get other people to build their living seawall. And it's a good URL to have. And my client owns livingseawall.org, which is pretty cool
Nice.
because there's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of these.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Some years back, in New York City, they were doing, I don't know if it was called the Million Oyster Project or the
Mm.
Billion Oyster Project, but they were basically trying to, grow harvest more oysters in, I think it was either the East River or the Hudson, and they had this big festival where it was just beer and oysters, and dude, after I think, like, 4 hours of just eating oysters and drinking beer, just a bad combination for like, you need a little bit more food, in you, but
Oh,
I
God.
think they did this thing once, because there were just lines of people, and there were all these, all the guys who were working there just shucking,
Oh,
one
wow.
oyster after another, and you know how quickly you put down an oyster, you know? So I don't know how I don't know how everything's going. I don't know how many, oysters are back in New York, but, I mean, I just love I love the idea of them being able to filter water and all that, and they're delicious too.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes they make a pearl.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, how does that happen?
Well, it's funny because I thought some of the comedians in the shitstorm had the idea to do something with pearls and make jewelry out of them or something. And it was a good idea, but then I found that's only certain species of oysters. But it happens when debris gets in there and it's like irritating the oyster. So the pearl is just the oyster protecting itself, like putting a shell around it.
Oh, wow.
I used to use that analogy when I was at an ad agency, and I was a shit stir working for these agencies, and it would rile people up. And I was like, every oyster needs some sand in it. And I was trying to sell them on they need to deal with my sandy reputation at times.
There you go. Yeah, I wanna ask you about, being a shit stirrer? Because it's sort of like, I guess depending on which year we're talking about, shit stirrer means something different. Like we're, you know, kind of over the past, say 5 years, stirring the shit might, get one canceled, as
Yes.
as opposed to just, doing something new or, approaching a topic from a new, from a new angle. So, yeah, how do you like when you say you're a shit stirrer, how do you tell people like, "Listen, I'm a shit stirrer, but the kind
I
you
s-
wanna work with," you
I
know?
say I always say it's for a cause, to make great causes and brands and people famous. So I stir shit, but for positive reasons. I mean, sometimes I've taken on certain CEOs, like Mark Zuckerberg said he's going to destroy the ad industry. So I roasted him. And
Mhm.
I don't mean I'm just going on some angry rant. I mean, I'm treating them like we're at a Jeff Ross roast, you know? I actually want to have a real roast with billionaires where comedians roast the billionaires and then the billionaires can have a word back, and then
Right.
we give money to some cause like mental health or veterans or something that everybody can support and not argue about. You know what I mean? Or ocean health, whatever.
Man, I would say even get some money to comedians. That would be, take a
Yeah, you're right. Oh my God. See, that's the thing.
just do
Like,
it. Yeah.
Elon wants to be a comedian. He loves comedy. Uh, why not, instead of building a rocket ship? Why not? Maybe he should have like 100 stand-up clubs around the world and spread the joy of comedy to you know. To, there's actually this movie, Stand Up Planet, you should check out, that a friend of mine made.
Um,
But it's actually, so it's like 5 comedians from around the world who go out to spread joy and positive change and freedom through comedy. Like, comedy is a powerful, it's very powerful in taking down like dictators like Maduro or whatever.
mhm. Well, it's also something everybody wants to be a comedian. So, you brought up, Elon Musk and obviously, Elon, buying Twitter, changing its name to X and, reinstating like the Babylon Bee. I think that had a big, impact on comedy and free speech. But, something else that you see, like even before Elon bought Twitter, the amount of like, journalists and otherwise serious people who wanted to be funny, who wanted to be liked, was just it was a little too much. It's like,
Mm.
if you're a journalist, working for CBS and you're doing, all of this, serious reporting, and then at the same time you want to, you know, post jokes and stuff like that. It's like you're muddying the waters here. Like I think ultimately it's not going to be good for your serious brand
Oh
if
God, I had the reverse problem, and I got off Facebook because I would say funny, like, puns and dad jokes and all the time, and then people, I had, like, certain people loved it and certain people were annoyed of it, and I just kept doing my thing. But then every once in a while I'd post something serious,
Mm,
and people were like, "Where's the joke?" They were, like, confused, and then I some people I think were disappointed, and other people literally thought there's a joke somewhere and they didn't get it. I'm like, "Oh my God, I've made a brand where I'm a funny person and they can't take me seriously."
right.
And not that I don't know if that's bad or good, but I felt pigeonholed. So it's funny because years later on so I didn't even know that was a thing, but I'm a LinkedIn influencer. And a lot of people would never even bother with LinkedIn. And they're like, that it's a toxic, negative, doom scrolling place. I'm like, you should see my feed. It's hilarious because there's weird LinkedIn, hashtag weird LinkedIn. And it's all the comedians. There's like puppeteers and songwriters and guy who calls himself a wizard. And there's drunk business. You should talk to her sometime. There's drunk business advice. She's in Philly, I think.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah, I think I've had my LinkedIn, for maybe a couple of years at the most. And yeah, one of my posts I said, 10 things. It was like 10 things I learned, as an associate after, sending unsolicited dick pics.
Oh my
And then
God.
sh and
Oh my God.
and then, the people were actually, were clicking on that to try to see what,
They're probably a lot of people are, like, pleasantly surprised to see something human on there. And by the way, that article I posted, the Embracing the Chaos, has 600,000 views,
wow.
which for LinkedIn's insane. I have 1.2 million views, like, over the past 6 months since I started Shitshow. I've gone from 2,500 to 12,500 or so followers. But I need help with Instagram and X and all these other things. It's like, because my kids say that LinkedIn's for old people.
Well, it's like each platform is really its own thing. I mean, you could have like a full-time job basically doing, each one of those. Yeah, with LinkedIn, what I find, so funny is like you'll see like a job post and I'll click on it and the job was posted 5 minutes ago and there's like 100 people who have applied.
Yes.
And it's like, how does anybody get hired off of LinkedIn, But
I know. I almost got scammed right before I started this, and that's part of why I made Shit Show real too. Is Bob Dylan said, "If you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose," and I almost got scammed for a job. Some of my friends hadn't worked in a year. I was doing freelance work, but it was mostly with San Francisco companies I'd known for 7 years.
mm,
I wasn't making any new connections, and I should tell you this. I just got a calamari jerky client.
calamari jerky. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Never
that
heard of it.
dried squid jerky, yeah. It's dried squid's huge in Asia and Sicily, but America doesn't have this until now. And this guy hits me up and he says that he loves my vibe and sense of humor and that he drives around the country in his Toyota Rav with the 7-foot tall squid costume in the back. And then he walks inside selling his squid jerky, and it's called the Hermit. And, in 1999, I worked for Red Bull, and it was new to the US, and I was the one who had college students try it for the first time. I could tell you people sped it out. They're like, "I'm never gonna drink that shit. That's terrible." So I've seen stuff. People don't know what to make sense of something unfamiliar. Sometimes they
Right.
say they like it, but they really wanna say, "I don't know. I don't know. I haven't decided yet." He says that kids like it because 'cause they're not comparing it to anything else. So if you're expecting beef jerky, you're gonna be disappointed because anytime you compare something else, not that. So it's best if you approach it like something new. And it's got a fun brand. It's called The Hermit. He sold out for Christmas, so we gave him a good
That's awesome.
problem.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that, like, even, like, the nutritional I bet it's pretty healthy. I mean, it's probably
Oh,
low in
yeah.
saturated fat and all
It's
that.
a good source of protein. It's healthy, and, it's from America. It's wild caught off of California.
Oh,
And
wow.
on Instagram, you can see him go to the dock where where the fishermen bring it in, and he actually takes a bite of one, like, right from the ocean or whatever, right from. So, I didn't know this, but a lot of dried squid, or most of it in the world, is Chinese slave ships. I
Hmm.
had never heard of that, so his is sustainable, wild caught. I think it's really good because I didn't even know we had much of a fishing industry in America still, especially on the West Coast. I mean, I knew crab fishing is still a thing, but I like to see that industry is still thriving and kind of being reinvented.
Yeah.
There's different flavors too. There's the Italian herb, there's wild scallion. So he's got 3 different flavors and Thai chili, which is spicy.
Nice.
He lives in Thailand half the year, so yeah.
Nice.
Another weirdo soulmate of mine that we
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so funny because when you describe it, like, yeah, why haven't I eaten that yet? Like, I've eaten so much other stuff. Like, why, but it's a completely new thing. It's like completely foreign in a way.
and it's a massive source of protein that we're just shipping at low cost to Asia.
Yeah.
And when I think I've talked to Korean people, love it. I mean, and that Korean culture is booming in the US. I would like to get involved with that subculture. I don't even know if it's subculture, it's just culture in America now. Like, anybody curious about Korean food should try
Oh, yeah.
dried
Korean
squid.
barbecue.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Amazing stuff. So, Justin, if other weirdos are out there and want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Go to shitshowcreative.com. You can send me a note. If you're on LinkedIn, find me as Justin Kramm, KRA, and 2 M's like Mickey Mouse. Global Shit Stir. You can follow me there, connect with me. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram as Crampstagram, and I'm on all of the TikTok and everything. But yeah, just email me, Justin at shitshowcreative.com. It's a good way to.
Beautiful.